"Go away! You're not invited!" My stepdaughter shouted as I reached for a chair at the Christmas table. My wife never looked up. They both forgot whose house this was. I smiled, opened the front door, and turned their perfect Christmas upside down. I froze with one hand resting on the back of the dining chair I'd bought 23 years earlier. The house smelled of roasted turkey, cinnamon, and fresh pine. Christmas music floated softly through the speakers, yet somehow the room had never felt colder. My stepdaughter, Emily, stood with her arms folded, glaring at me as if I were an unwanted stranger. "Didn't you hear me?" she snapped. "You're not invited." I looked toward my wife, Carol, expecting her to laugh and tell Emily she'd gone too far. Instead, Carol calmly sipped her wine, never lifting her eyes from her plate. "Emily's right," she murmured. "Maybe it's better if you leave." Not one person at the table spoke up. Her parents, her brother, and a few family friends all avoided eye contact. Every one of them acted as if I were the guest, instead of the man who had paid every mortgage payment on the house they were celebrating in. For a long moment, I said nothing. Then I smiled. Not the smile they expected. I quietly walked to the front door. Emily smirked. Finally, I opened the door, not to leave. Instead, I welcomed the people waiting outside. "Merry Christmas," I said. A real estate agent stepped inside, followed by two movers, a locksmith, and an off-duty sheriff's deputy. The dining room fell completely silent. Carol's wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered across the hardwood floor. What is this?" she whispered. I reached into my jacket pocket, removed a neatly folded envelope, and placed it on the Christmas table beside the untouched turkey. "The house sold this morning," I said calmly. "The closing papers were signed 3 hours ago. As of today, this isn't my house anymore." Emily laughed nervously. "Stop joking. I'm not." The realtor smiled politely and handed Carol a copy of the ownership transfer. "The new owners have requested vacant possession today," she explained. Carol's face turned ghost white. "You sold the house?" "3 months ago," I replied. "Right after I accidentally overheard the two of you planning to divorce me the day after Christmas so you could keep the house." Emily slowly turned toward her mother. "You told him?" Carol couldn't answer. I looked around the room one last time. I built this life believing I had a family. Turns out, I was just funding one. The deputy checked his watch. "I'm sorry, folks," he said. "You'll need to gather your belongings." Within minutes, the perfect Christmas dinner they'd planned was forgotten. Turkey sat untouched. Presents remained unopened. And the people who told me to leave were the ones carrying boxes out the front door while strangers measured the living room for new furniture. As I walked to my truck, snow began to fall. Behind me, Emily shouted my name for the first time that evening. I didn't turn around. Some invitations are worth declining. And sometimes, the best Christmas gift you can give yourself is finally walking away. I didn't turn around. Some invitations are worth declining. And sometimes, the best Christmas gift you can give yourself is finally walking away. I spent that Christmas night in a quiet lakeside cabin I'd booked weeks earlier, watching the snow fall through the window with a cup of coffee in my hands. For the first time in years, there was no yelling, no pretending, no walking on eggshells, just peace. The phone started ringing before sunrise. Carol called 18 times. Emily texted over 30 messages. Then came the voicemails. "Please answer. We can fix this. You didn't have to do this on Christmas." I listened to every message and deleted every single one. They thought losing the house was the punishment. They were wrong. The real punishment was realizing they had thrown away the only person who had quietly carried them for years. And this time, I wasn't coming back. By New Year's Day, they had nowhere left to celebrate, nowhere left to blame, and no one left to pay the bills. Karma didn't arrive wearing red and carrying presents. It arrived holding a house key that no longer fit the lock. 3 months later, I drove past the neighborhood without planning to. The Christmas decorations were gone. So was the family everyone thought was perfect. The house had fresh paint, different curtains, and a young couple laughing in the front yard. They were making new memories where mine had been destroyed.